You have an alarm, you have a schedule, you have a calendar full of things you're supposed to do, places you're supposed to be, tasks that need to be completed before a deadline someone else set. You move through your day inside a structure that was built for you before you were born. And somewhere underneath all of it, on a bad day, on a slow afternoon, on a Sunday with nothing urgent happening, you feel something pull at you. A restlessness. A strange, quiet dissatisfaction that has no obvious cause. Like you are supposed to be doing something, but you cannot remember what. That feeling is not laziness. It is not a character flaw. It is 300,000 years of human biology colliding with a world it was never designed for, because for the vast majority of human existence, your ancestors did not have a schedule. They did not have a to-do list. And what they did with their days is so different from what you do with yours that understanding it might change everything about how you think about your time. Start with this question that nobody asks. Not what did ancient humans eat, or how did they survive, but what did they actually do? Hour by hour? Day by day? The answer begins with a number that will surprise you. Anthropologist Marshall Sahlins spent years studying the few remaining hunter-gatherer societies that still exist in the modern world, groups like the Yagung-Sen of the Kalahari and Aboriginal Australians, as a window into how humans lived before agriculture. What he found overturned almost everything the modern world assumes about prehistoric life. He found that hunter-gatherers typically worked to meet their subsistence needs for roughly 3 to 5 hours per day. Not 8, not 10, 3 to 5. The remaining time was not spent anxiously preparing for disaster or grinding away at survival. It was spent in what Sahlins described as a leisure, in rest, in socializing, in play. Sahlins called hunter-gatherers the original affluent society, not because they had abundance in the material sense, but because they had something modern humans rarely experience: enough time. Think about what that means. The image most people carry of prehistoric life is brutal, desperate, relentless. The phrase, then, nasty, brutish, and short, coined by philosopher Thomas Hobbes in 1651, has shaped how almost every person alive imagines ancient human existence. But the evidence from surviving hunter-gatherer groups tells a completely different story. When your needs are modest and your environment is relatively productive, meeting them does not take very long. And the human body, and your body, was built for exactly this kind of life. So what did they do with the rest of the time? The evidence from anthropology, archaeology, and the study of living hunter-gatherer communities paints a specific picture. They talked constantly. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar, who developed the famous theory that human language evolved primarily as a form of social grooming talk, stories, gossip, speculation about other people's behavior, laughter, the kind of talk that has no practical purpose except to bind people together, to maintain the social web that kept the group alive. If you've ever felt guilty about talking too much, about spending an afternoon in conversation that went nowhere in particular, stop. You're doing something your brain was literally built to do. They also slept differently than you do. Sleep researcher Jerome Siegel studied the Hadza of Tanzania, the San of Namibia, and the Simene of Bolivia, 3 of the few remaining groups living in conditions close to those of ancient humans. What he found challenged everything sleep science thought it knew. These groups did not sleep for a solid 8 hours. They slept in 2 phases, an evening period of lighter rest and a deeper sleep in the early morning hours. They napped. They went to sleep not at a fixed clock time, but when it got dark, and woke when it got light. Their sleep was governed not by alarm clocks or social obligations, but by the sun and their own bodies. Your body, left to its own devices, wants something more fluid, more variable, more responsive to the actual rhythms of light and dark. They made things. A great deal of time in hunter-gatherer communities is spent in what might loosely be called craft. Making tools, weaving baskets, preparing food, constructing shelters, decorating objects and bodies with pigment and pattern. Archaeologist April Nowell, who studies the cognitive origins of human creativity, points out that the impulse to make, to shape raw material into something useful or beautiful, is one of the oldest and most consistent behaviors in the human record. The earliest known tools date back 3.3 million years. The earliest known art, red ochre engravings found in Blombos Cave in South Africa, dates to at least 75,000 years ago. Your ancestors were making things long before they were farming, long before they were building cities, long before anyone had a job title. The satisfaction you feel when you finish making something with your hands, It is one of the deepest pleasures your nervous system knows how to register. They played. This one surprises people. Play is not something that disappears at the end of childhood in traditional societies. Adults play. They game. They wrestle. They run. They tell jokes and perform elaborate imitations and engage in the kind of physical and social play that modern culture largely reserves for children and athletes. Evolutionary psychologist Peter Gray has argued that play is not a break from serious human activity. It is serious human activity. It evolved as the primary mechanism through which humans learn social rules, develop physical skills, practice creativity, and maintain the bonds that hold communities together. When you feel drawn to play, when you want to joke around, to move your body for the pleasure of moving it, to engage in something that has no point other than the doing of it, you are not being immature. You are being exactly what evolution designed you to be, and they were bored, productively bored. The kind of boredom that is not the frantic, phone-reaching restlessness of modern life, but something quieter and more generative. Psychologist Sandy Mann has studied boredom extensively, and found that it is not simply an unpleasant state to be escaped. It is a state in which the mind begins to wander, to make unexpected connections, to generate ideas that focused, goal-directed thinking cannot reach. The daydreaming that ancient humans did, staring at the fire, watching the sky, letting the mind drift, was not wasted time. It was the incubation period for insight, for creativity, for the kind of slow, associative thinking that solves problems too complex for direct attention. The modern terror of boredom, the compulsive need to fill every moment with input, is one of the most costly features of contemporary life. Your brain needs empty time the way your body needs sleep, and it is not getting enough. Now here's the part that changes everything. When researchers look at the daily lives of hunter-gatherers, at the mix of moderate physical activity, extended social contact, creative making, physical play, variable sleep, and open, unstructured time, they find something striking. Almost none of the chronic conditions that define modern human health appear at significant rates. Depression, anxiety disorders, chronic back pain, type 2 diabetes, obesity, insomnia. These are not ancient problems. They are almost entirely modern ones. Psychiatrist Stephen Ilardi, who has studied this connection extensively in his research on lifestyle and depression, argues that the human brain evolved for a way of life that no longer exists, that the mismatch between what your biology was built for and what your daily life actually delivers is not a minor inconvenience. It is the source of a significant portion of our modern human suffering. This does not mean you should abandon your job and live in the forest. It means something more specific and more actionable than that. Things your body craves, the things that pull at you underneath the schedule and the to-do list and the screen, are not distractions from real life. They are real life. The conversation that goes nowhere, the afternoon nap, the walk with no destination, the thing you make with your hands, the game you play for no reason, the long, slow stretch of time where nothing in particular happens. These are not luxuries. They are not self-indulgence. They are the conditions under which a human being actually functions, the conditions your biology was built expecting to receive. You are not bad at modern life because you're lazy or undisciplined or weak. You are bad at modern life because modern life is, in the most precise biological sense, not what you were made for. Your ancestors did not have a 9 to 5. They had a morning. They had a fire. They had the people around them and the hours in front of them and no particular structure beyond the pull of hunger and the fall of dark. And in that space, in that enormous, unhurried, unoptimized expanse of ordinary human time, they were, by almost every measure that matters, more at home in their own lives than you are in yours. The alarm will go off tomorrow. The schedule will be there. But tonight, if you find yourself doing nothing in particular, talking to someone you love about nothing important, making something with your hands, letting your mind wander toward nowhere, know that you are not wasting time. You are living exactly the way your body always expected you to.